I've spent 2 years telling consultancies to use ChatGPT. I built workshops around it, I recorded videos about it, and last month I stopped using it. In this video, I'm going to tell you what changed. If you are new here, I'm V, the founder and managing director of Analytium and Agentic Lab. I spend my time helping consultancies and professional services firms design AI workflows that actually work at scale. This video isn't about hype. It's about what breaks once AI becomes part of the real client work. Because when you are running multiple engagements at once, the problem isn't capability, it's consistency. I run a consultancy, and that means I'm juggling multiple clients simultaneously, each with their own unique projects spanning different industries, each requiring different standards and approaches to be maintained at all times. In professional services, consistency isn't just important, it's absolute non-negotiable. The tone you use with clients matters enormously. The structure of your deliverables matters. The format and presentation of everything you produce matters. And here's the fundamental issue I kept encountering with ChatGPT. We have tried and attempted to migrate to Teams profile on the ChatGPT multiple times. You can see 2 separate attempts. Unfortunately, neither of those we found it useful for us to carry on. In fact, the team was reporting back that using individual personal profiles on a ChatGPT, they were more productive than using a team profile. Every single new project you start effectively begins from absolute zero, with no accumulated knowledge or context. You find yourself constantly re-explaining the same basic information: who you are, what specific project you are currently working on, what your quality standards are, and what good looks like in your particular context. I call this phenomena context amnesia. ChatGPT memory feature was supposed to solve this problem entirely. Unfortunately, it did not deliver on the promise completely. ChatGPT memory functionality works reasonably well when you are focused on a single specific use case, one professional role, one consistent style, one ongoing conversation thread. But when you are actually running a consultancy with multiple engagements happening simultaneously, here's what actually happens in practice. You're working on developing a detailed proposal for client A, then you need to immediately switch context to go on something for client B. ChatGPT starts unintentionally blending context between these different clients. Let me demonstrate. I have a project over here for a phone smart rotary project, which configured with a default memory, as this was created even before the project-only memory was available. It has a number of files loaded, such as the local schools, project information, other information about it. None of it is mentioning the beehive or the newsletters, as it's not relevant for the project. Yet, if I were to ask the project what newsletter software we're using, it's convinced that we're using for the beehive for the newsletter. And that's a problem. It's a problem because this information is leaking between the different projects. That cross-contamination becomes incredibly frustrating and time-consuming when you're trying to maintain consistent quality standards across multiple client engagements running in parallel. Yes, you can now scope and limit memory to a specific ChatGPT project, which should theoretically help, but there is a significant catch that undermines this feature. That scope memory only works properly when you're actively creating and working within that specific project, and you can only set it at the beginning of the project. The moment you step outside that carefully scoped project, perhaps for a quick one-off chat or when working on a different workspace, the context bleeding and cross-contamination starts happening all over again. You end up spending more time policing and managing the AI context than actually productively using it for your work. For consultancies operating at scale, this context management overhead is absolutely fatal to productivity. This is precisely where Claude Projects fundamentally transformed and revolutionized my entire approach to AI-assisted work. A Claude project functions as a persistent, dedicated workspace environment. Each individual project maintains and preserves its own distinct context, stores uploaded assets and resources, and retains custom instructions that you have carefully configured. It also has a dedicated memory that you can inspect and manage at the project level. That carefully maintained context doesn't drift, blur, or cross-contaminate when you actively switch between different clients or projects. The absolute critical difference that set Claude apart is implementation of the two-way artifacts and a use of tools. In ChatGPT, artifacts function in a strict one-way manner. You generate the content and that remains locked within the conversation, and only very recently they finally added the capability to download them as separate files. In Claude, you can immediately open and thoroughly inspect artifacts right there in the interface, and each artifact produced by the project can easily be uploaded to the same project. Let me demonstrate. I have a project for the newsletter for Agentic Lab, have a file loaded over here with a template. Now this template, I can't open it from here. all what it does, it just goes in and offers me to download the file. Now compare that to the project in Claude. I have the same template loaded here, which I can quickly and easily open, and I could investigate what's inside of it. But more than that, I can take this file name, and you could see it misses the introduction, right? So I would like to get the introduction inserted. So I would say in the file, add an introduction section from Vasily, underline to introducing the key concepts, the newsletter, right? And what it's going to do, it knows which file I'm talking about. It's going to take that file and it will edit it. It will actually add the sections back to it, which I will then be able to save back into the project. And there you go. Here's our file. After the date, here's an introduction block. And now from here, I could go in and I could simply say add to the project, and file been added to the project. Now we go back to the project. We got our new file added. So I'm just going to remove the other one. Now let's try and do exactly the same prompt in ChatGPT. We have that exact same file loaded. Here we are in the chat, and let's go. So it created an introduction and put it there, but it did not edit the file itself. The only thing I have to do now is to copy that, go back to the project memory. Now I'll have to go to the files. I have to download this file. I have to open it, find where it needs to go, and put it in like that. But you see how many more steps I had to do it, because it simply isn't working the same way. In Claude, you possess the ability to upload your existing assets and resources, iteratively refine and improve them through the conversation, and then seamlessly pull them back out again as a polished deliverable. For consultancies managing multiple client engagements simultaneously, this capability is absolute massive and transformative. You're not starting from absolute zero every single time. You're systematically building upon and enhancing what you already have established. Now layer on top of that the significant RAG advantage that Claude provides. Claude actively retrieves information from files inside a project using RAG, and you are limited on the size of the files, not the count. In ChatGPT, I had to combine multiple smaller files together to get them all fit in a project because it was limited by the number of files provided. That's a meaningless task. But now it means you can upload your proposal templates, brand guidelines, past deliverables, and methodology documents, and Claude actually uses them if or when necessary. ChatGPT has a canvas, but it's inconsistent. Sometimes it triggers, sometimes it doesn't. You never quite know what you're going to get. Claude's artifacts are more reliable every time. When you generate something meaningful, a one-page or a report, it becomes a dedicated artifact which can be reviewed then and there. Let me demonstrate. We outline the presentation, what it should contain, what slides, what data. Then it confirmed that I'm prepared to move forward and create the next part, which is the actual presentation. It ran additional code step by step. It loaded the new skills on how to load and convert the presentation into the PowerPoint. And it then went on to generate each individual slide. Now here is the actual presentation over here available, which as an artifact, I could see it straight away. That's all the pages. You could see it use the agentic colors. It created design, followed the colors all the way through. This is a PowerPoint presentation. So now I can go and download. I can dump it directly into the Google Drive, or I can download if I'm not happy about something, like these boxes over here on slide 12. I can now open it, and it's actual presentation, fully fledged presentation that I can now go in, edit, and refine to exactly what I want. So again, much more powerful. The skills system within Claude is revolutionary. Skills are reusable instruction sets that shape how Claude works on specific tasks. And to make them even more powerful, the same set of skills are available behind the API, which means that when you integrate your LLM with other tools through an N10 or others, your same skills will apply. You can upload skills for API tools and develop them alongside of Claude, even versioning them in GitHub. This saves a massive amount of time when building automation, because the same amount of knowledge is available everywhere and you are not reprompting, you're not doing constant prompt engineering or context management. You're building a reusable capability with the knowledge that managed centrally. So you manage skills by uploading skills through a portal within settings. You can see over here we're using a full set. You can have no more than 20 active skills. What kind of skills we have here? We have a content internal for communication, have a newsletter, we have a research synthesis. We generally break down by sales, such as sales, client, summaries, sales discovery notes, sales discovery to proposal, as well as some default skills provided by Claude, such as Theme Factory and Web Artifact Builder. Each of these can be easily switched on and off, and that will apply to all of your chat conversation. I don't want to oversell it. Not everything is perfect. Sharing skills across team is still painful. Each team member has to upload and manage their own skills. Admins can only disallow use of custom skills. I'm looking forward to when Business Plan will have an internal marketplace of approved business skills available to every single member of the business. But nevertheless, for individual workflows and working as a team, it's a massive step forward. If you compare the project within ChatGPT, it doesn't allow you to connect anywhere near as many tools to it. In Claude, when it comes to the projects, you have control over not only your instructions, but also tools. Like over here, we have this particular project with the ability to do the web search and extended thinking, as well as additional tools included, which we can enable NA10 or Microsoft 365 or the others, but we leave only Notion on. Claude also connects to where the knowledge actually lives, such as Notion and Google Drive. Let me demonstrate. I'll ask you to research a new and exciting YouTube topic, then write the script and publish it to Notion in YouTube OS database for new content. Claude will not only do the research online, and it will use the internal skills to understand who is our target audience, who is our ideal customer profile, and what their typical pain points are. It will also write the script itself. If it doesn't have some information, it will ask for it. So it used our prompt, and then it got back to us and asked, what is it that you're trying to do? Focus on AI development, 10 minutes. So Claude, while preparing our YouTube script, it created a research plan. It used the additional information that we provided. It restructured our prompt. It decided on how it's going to do the research. It then created an actual research plan. It went to discover 277 sources. I can tell Claude to save this directly into my Notion workspace. It is aware of the Notion structure, it will find the right place and save it there, and it will update all the relevant properties. So you can see on the screen, it writes to the page, it formats it properly, and it's already in my production system. This means I have no copy-paste, no reformatting, and no context switching. Now, this is what institutional memory looks like. Claude isn't just generating content, it's building your knowledge base while you work. I'll be honest, ChatGPT still wins in some areas. Image generation is still much stronger, although I tend to use Gemini Nano Banana for edits, while idea generation still happens in Sora. ChatGPT wins on voice hands down. Some voice features are so much better. I still like putting ChatGPT on a mobile phone and talk to it like an assistant. Claude only now releasing the beta version of voice on a mobile, and it just isn't that great. With ChatGPT, majority of our prospects and clients recognize the brand immediately. Claude isn't as well known because most people experience ChatGPT in their personal lives. I still have an active ChatGPT subscription, but Claude is where the work happens for me and my team from now on. If you are running a 20 to 50 person firm, you don't need an AI strategy. You need one AI tool that fits how you actually work. The real cost isn't the subscription, it's the hours your team wastes reprompting, reformatting, and not trusting the output of the AI model. That hits the margin, that hits utilization, and that hits the partner economics. Managing partners feel this every week, even if they don't label it as an AI problem. If you want to see exactly how I set up Claude for consultancy workflows, I break this down weekly in my newsletter and in the future videos. Make sure to subscribe, the link is in the description. Look at my other videos where I show how to turn messy ideas into client-ready slide decks using Gamma AI. And I'll see you in that one.